Today we are going to talk about a powerful tool developed by Steel Research that help us all do our job better. BFStaveVis. Think of it as your new X-ray vision for the blast furnace. It is designed to help us to see inside and understand what's happening, leading to better operations. Now, as operators, you know, it's really hard to directly observe what's going on inside the blast furnace. Things like gas flow are well-known example. You cannot just look in and see it. We have to rely on indirect signals like the temperature measurements from the thermocouples in our furnace staves. Historically, we have used things like quadrant averages or row averages to summarize this data. But here is the problem. These averages can often miss important local issues like a small hot gas channel because they average out the problem across a larger area. We needed a better way to really see the details. That's where the blast furnace stave VIS comes in. What it is, it's a powerful computer program from steel company. What it does, it takes all those hundreds of temperature reading from your stave thermocouples and transform them into clear visual heat map of the furnace wall available right there in the control room. This tool is designed to help you clearly see where the gas flow is uneven around the furnace and how these gas flow structures are changing over time. BFStaveVis takes those complex temperature numbers and turn them into easy to understand patterns. Instead of just looking at raw data, it shows that flattened first furnace map, which are like unwrapping the furnace to see it in two dimensions. 3D views of furnace wall, which let you see the spatial relationship, and a disk view, which is a unique way to see the entire furnace at once, helping you spot issues around the circumference without bias. The best part is it is interactive. You can easily scroll through the data over time, animate temperature changes to watch how things evolved, and even compare different periods side by side, which is great for analysis. One of the biggest advantages of BFStaveVis is how it helps us find local wall channels. The problem with these is that sometimes gas flows very quickly along a small part of the furnace wall. These are significant, but because they are so narrow, they only weakly affect traditional quadrant averages, meaning they can easily be missed. BFStaveVis solution is that it clearly shows these local wall channels are distinct hotspot on the map. BFStaveVis clearly highlighted a strong channel in the northeast of the furnace that is shown. That picture is not I have attached, that traditional quadrant plots were insensitive to. This means you can spot and react to the problems much faster. A key goal is to get gas flowing uniformly through the furnace. BFStave VIS help us to do this by facilitating a rapid identification of excessive or non-uniform gas flow. After you make changes to how you charge material, we used it effectively at our BF during trials where we adjusted over batches. As you can see, BFStaveVis clearly showed the impact on shaft step temperature within just 4 hours. It helped us understand what worked and what didn't, even showing improved uniformity in later trials. Let's talk about flooding events. These are indicated by a rapid increase in furnace resistance, as we all know, K factor, often leading to lower production and requiring us to reduce gas volume. At blast furnace, we saw a clear transition to these events despite other furnace parameter being stable. What was happening? BFStaveVis was used to examine the period after we increase the ore base, the amount of ore charge. It revealed that a rapid K factor increase started about 6 hours after the ore base change. Even more critically, BFStaveVis showed that a major gas channel developed from the boss to mid stack. This channel actually made permeability seem better for a bit, but it was a bad sign for furnace stability and stave life. This key insight from the BFStaveVis led us to put a new control on how we set the ore base. Sometimes we have to use rescreen sinter, which is recycled material. While it can be necessary, it can also cause issues. At BF, when rescreen sinter was introduced at high level, it was accompanied by high stave hit loads and variable permeability. BF stave VIS provided clear proof of its detrimental impact on gas distribution and furnace stability. As you can see, a significant gas channel formed within half a day of introducing the rescreened sinter. The good news is that the channel rapidly disappeared once the rescreened sinter was removed. This was a very clear and timely reminder for operations about the negative impact of this material on gas distribution. Scaffolds are problematic buildups inside the furnace that cause very uneven temperatures on the wall. At BFStaveVis clearly showed the development of a strong temperature imbalance around almost half the furnace circumference, indicating scaffold formation. We could even animate it in BFStaveVis to see how stable this formation was. When we altered the burden to promote a scaffold formation or removal, traditional probes could only give intermittent signal radius reading. But BFStaveVis give us a much clearer picture. It showed the redistribution of gas flow to the wall much earlier and confirmed its uniformity, leading to the scaffold's eventual rapid removal. It was invaluable for understanding this dynamic event. The fauna cell is a critical part and we need to know its temperature, especially if cooling pipes fail in areas without direct sensors, like the Bosch region. Since BFStaveVis was already monitoring a step temperature, it was recognized that we could use this data to predict temperatures on the outside of the furnace cell. This led to the development of BFshellVis, a smarter cousin of BFstaveVis. It takes the same step temperature data and calculates the shell temperatures. Deployed in the control room, BFshellVis provides visual and audible alerts for hotspot on the shell. This helps us prevent damage and extend the furnace's campaign life by giving us early warning of critical risk. When blast furnace received new copper stave, there were doubt about BFStaveVis' continued usefulness. Copper stave cool very efficiently, leading to lower and potentially less sensitive temperature at the thermocouples. For example, some individual reading might seem less sensitive. However, BFStaveVis proved its value. Even with copper stave, it still clearly shows the channeling event in nearby areas. The key insight is that interpretation also depends on understanding the lining condition, that protective layer of refractory or slag. As that lining wears away, BFStaveVis becomes even more important, helping us identify areas highly sensitive to in-furnace condition that could be candidates for stave damages. Now it is committed by the steel plant to always improving these tools. We are working on getting more data and more insight from the furnace. Future plan include using even more sensor like heat flux, cooling water and wall pressures to give us a fuller picture. We are also working on smarter predictions. These includes refining shell temperature prediction, trying to predict the lining condition from a step temperature, and even automatically detecting where the cohesive zone root is. All these developments are aimed at giving you even better information to run the furnace. And ultimately, as blast furnace operators, you deal with a lot of complex and indirect signal to interpret processes condition. BFStaveVis is a visualization framework that makes these signals much easier to understand and act upon. It has been proven through many real world examples to help you understand furnace condition clearly, identify problems early before they become major issue, and ultimately makes better decision for a stable, efficient and long lasting blast furnace